everybody, and welcome to this discussion panel. My name is Hazel Burton and I work in TSG's Brilliant Marketing team. Today we're here to talk about Windows 10 because Microsoft held an event a few days ago and went a bit crazy with releasing all sorts of really cool stuff. So we're here to have a chat about it. Today I've got with me Paul Burns, who is TSG's National Technical Director, and I've also got with me Steve Cox, who is TSG's Chief Operating Officer, who are two of TSG's finest experts, and part of their job is to go out there and see what's new in the technology world. So we're going to drill into some of the detail behind Windows 10, what this means for you, our customers, and just have a chat about what Microsoft are up to. All right, so let's get kicked off with the first question, which what's the biggest thing that each of you took away from the event on Wednesday about Windows 10? Paul, we'll start with you.
Well, Hazel, I think the key thing for me looking at it from a business perspective is the idea that we've now got one set of operating systems that's going to proliferate across all types of device, whether that's a handset, tablets, the small ones, large tablets and laptops and desktops, and the ability to kind of transition your data, your applications and all the config settings that go with it seamlessly across all the devices is absolutely key for business users. And I think when we talk about business use, that's probably the key thing I took away from that event.
Okay.
I guess, yeah, just to add to that, I think that the whole continuum piece is really good. Being able to take your applications, your documents, your settings across multiple devices, I think is great. I think what was evident for me from Microsoft is this sort of realization now that the operating system isn't necessarily the be-all and end-all. I think over the years the operating system's been really important to the devices, making sure that we've got something that we can interact with and something that we can, is compatible with the applications that we want to run. I think what we're seeing now is this, greater move towards the cloud, greater move towards apps, and the operating system is more of an enabler for the device to get sort of connected to the new world. And I think we're starting to see that now, especially the way that they're sort of putting Windows 10 out there as a free upgrade for Windows 7 and Windows 8 and 8.1 users. I think that really is sort of hitting home for me now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned the free upgrade. I mean, that was quite surprising. They revealed that before they even revealed much of the detail about Windows 10, so it's obviously they wanted to announce this. What's the strategy behind that?
Yeah, well, I think there's a pretty obvious strategy from Microsoft, which is giving that free upgrade with a limited time window on it of 12 months for the Windows 7 and 8 users. The reason for that is historically Microsoft have had poor adoption numbers early on, and that's been for a variety of different reasons. There's been nervousness to move, there's been the big service pack, everyone waits for the first big service pack, and all sorts of other reasons why people don't adopt early. But Microsoft need that early adoption to get traction, but also to see where the problems are with the platform so they can alter it, adjust it and get it right going forward. So they need those large numbers early on, so it's a really good strategy to do that. There's been tons and tons of debate within the blogosphere about kind of the fact that Microsoft will start charging in year 2 and all sorts of debate going on, and clearly that isn't their aim. Their aim is to get people adopting early. It isn't so that they can get people onto the product and then say, oh, in year 2, by the way, it's 20 quid a year. That's definitely not on the cards, and they've said it's free for the lifetime of the device once you've done the upgrade, so to kind of make that clear. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there at the moment about that.
I think there's a good point you touch on there in terms of pricing and future pricing, especially when you look at what happens with subscription. This isn't something new for Microsoft. If you look back to Windows Intune, which was their sort of PC management product, when they launched that was all about getting a free license for Windows XP thrown in. And I think where Microsoft are going with this, which is what they want and what we want as providers, and it's also good for end users, business and consumers, is to have everybody working on the same platform, because then it makes compatibility testing a lot easier, it makes upgrade testing and functionality a lot easier, it makes support a lot easier, and it makes it better user experience for people because everybody's working on the same common platform. Trying to manage multiple different platforms and enablers to be able to use new applications, whether they be on-premise applications, cloud-based applications, is important.
Okay. Now Windows 10 has also been referred to as Windows as a service. So can you just clarify, we're not going to see Windows 11, are we? We're going to see this Windows is it, and it'll just be updated. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, there's kind of been a lot of misinformation about this Windows as a service idea, and I think that's where the idea of people thinking that it's going to become a chargeable service. And that isn't Microsoft's plan at all, certainly from what they've released to date. The Windows as a service thing is exactly what you've described. So it is one version of Windows to be the final and ultimate version of Windows, a bit like the Apple operating system has been for the last sort of 10 years or so. This is one major release, which will then continue to have upgrades to it, which will become free of charge for the lifetime of the device or product that you're actually running it on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure I'll buy the Windows 10 being the last version, because even if you look at what Apple have done with iOS, they always put a number after it.
Yeah.
You know, whether 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. So I do think we'll keep seeing it. I think this comes back to this statement of, the operating system is no longer the be-all and end-all of the computing device. If you look right back to the early days, when they launched Windows 95, there was this big, launch event, and this new start button and this new interaction, and the operating system was the center and the applications were the peripheral. Now the operating system is sitting less and less in the background. And if you look at what they attempted to do with Windows 8, especially when you look around Windows Mobile, was making the device customizable. So if it was your device, you customize it your way. Whereas when you look back at operating systems of old, they were very rigid, very structured. You could put background images, you could change colors, etc. But you couldn't actually customize the screen to make it look the way you want and make it unique. That's something they've done very different. I think 10 just takes us a step closer to that and moves us away from interacting with the operating system. I think that's what we'll see.
But it's certainly a very interesting idea that there'll be no more chargeable upgrades once you're on that platform and operating system. The people that will pay for it clearly will be the OEM companies, so the likes of HP and Dell and everybody else will still pay for the operating systems for the larger form factor devices, certainly. Sub 7-inch.
Yeah, and it sits in line with what they're doing with everything else. If you look at Office 365, you look at this is why I'm not so sure on the subscription part. They've not mentioned anything about subscription pricing. There doesn't seem to be an intention to move to subscription pricing. But if you look at the other products in the range, if you look at what they've done with CRM, with Office 365, now with Office, you can buy those on a subscription basis. You never pay to another upgrade. If you never pay for another upgrade because you're paying for it on subscription, you're actually never buying a new version. Therefore, the version goes out the window, and you just effectively keep on upgrading the service, if you like.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about adoption. So I upgraded to Windows 8 about a year ago, and it's probably still taking me a little bit of time to find where certain things are. Is Windows 10 going to be easier for people who upgrade from Windows 7? Will they find some familiarity there? And also, second part of that, what's going to be the case for people who have Windows 8 who have made the commitment to get used to a new operating system? Are they going to have to unlearn some stuff?
I think, like many of Microsoft's operating systems in the past, this has been a transitional step, Windows 8, and I think what they've done is they've taken the best bits from Windows 8 and introduced them into the new Windows 10 operating system. There's no doubt about that. So we see the start button coming back, but we see it now fully customizable, and the ability when you undock it, for example, and it becomes a proper tablet machine, that it automatically senses it's now a tablet and obviously changes things like the start menu, so you've got the more graphical interface that's been pulled from the Windows 8 design. It's a very, very clever idea, and it looks like it works really, really well, and having installed it myself, it certainly is a very, very slick operating system now, and things like the introduction of Cortana, which I know we'll probably talk about later on, is a fantastic addition to that product. Certainly looks like a very, very slick operating system. So from Windows 7 to Windows 10, there's probably less of a jump than there was between Windows 7 and Windows 8, bizarrely, because we've now got rid of the large tiled interface, and this idea that we're almost running two sets of apps in two different form factors on one desktop with Windows 8 has kind of been done away with now. So everything is in the same type of window and exists on the same sort of.
And it's an interesting comment you make there, because they've actually taken a step forward and a step back at the same time.
Yeah.
Because the Windows 7 to Windows 8 jump was massive, because suddenly you go from this very XP looking, very familiar mouse interacted operating system to a completely touch interactive tablet designed operating system, and that was a huge jump. I think they took some of the learnings and some of the feedback and incorporated that into 8.1, and then I think 10 is the best of both worlds in terms of actually saying we take some of the bits, clicking the familiar start button jumps you to the new interface, and it gives you that kind of change to actually say, actually, I click that button and something familiar happens.
But I think that certainly in terms of adoption on this product on Windows compared to Windows 8, we will see a faster adoption because it's an easier to get to grips with operating system. Even with the generational gaps, I think we'll still see a quicker adoption in this product.
I think also as well some of the limitations that we've had in the past, like third-party applications where you've got compatibility issues. As people are moving more and more to sort of cloud-based services, that goes away, because as long as the browser's compatible, then you haven't got an issue in terms of compatibility with the operating system. It just comes all back to that detaching the operating system away from being the enabler, rather than it's just an interface you interact with that enables you to run your business.
Okay, so you mentioned that Windows 7 to Windows 8 was a big jump, but now we've actually skipped Windows 9 altogether. Why do you think they didn't name it Windows 9 and went straight to Windows 10?
Can I spoil that question? No, I don't know actually. I've read some interesting things. Somebody said that because 9 was an unlucky number in Asia. Now I don't know if that's true or not, but 8 is a very lucky number in Asia, and that didn't bring them much success. So I'm not sure superstition would have factored into that. But I don't know really. I don't know. Paul?
Yeah, I'm not sure of the logic of jumping a version. I think just Windows 10 sounds a bit more fresh and new, doesn't it, rather than it being another Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 9. It doesn't sound that new and fresh. Windows 10 sounds a bit more exciting. I think that's probably all it's been. It's probably been a marketing decision, if I was to be honest. It's probably something along those lines.
And you have to ask the question is, does that create a great talking point? Because, why have they jumped? Right, 8 to 9 was the obvious choice. The last operating system, 8 to 10. Well, why 10? Why have you missed out 9? Is it a way of just creating a bit of a buzz and a bit of a conversation and a bit more sort of speculation about this new operating system?
Unless it was because of Germany and Windows No at that point, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and also annoying the people who registered Windows9.com as a domain name.
Yeah.